This is Joyce
and Blake,
and welcome to
Savagely Scaled. In this episode, it's an affiliate segment.
That's right.
And we are at 1027 in Prescott with Blayne.
Woo-hoo.
So it was very nice. I haven't worked out in 14 weeks because I've been lifting. So doing CrossFit class was very, very, very hard.
No, that was intense.
And Tony, for some reason, everybody's like, he doesn't coach on Saturdays. And I was like, didn't have to be on our end for that.
He seemed a little too excited to coach us. He's like, I'm going to kill you guys today. I was like, oh, okay.
But the members were so amazing.
They were.
So, I just want to say the number one thing they said was the reason for 1027 was community. Plain out community. This is my family. I feel like when I walk in that I'm loved and cherished, and it's family. So, and then David barfed. So no. But it was good. But welcome, Blayne.
Thank you guys. And thank you guys for having me. And I'm so glad you guys are here. It was exciting. And it's funny because Tony normally doesn't coach on Saturdays. It's me. But he does he's like on the board of the Prescott Farmers Market. And so he actually helps one of his buddies who has a coffee trailer there.
What does he not do?
I know.
Right?
He just does all the things. So he's like, Joe's out of town. And I was like, perfect. You can coach on Saturday.
That's cool.
He can be intense, but it's in a good way.
It was a really good way. And I was like, this feels like how I coach.
Yeah. He crossed over and he was like, I think I'm going to do just kind of like a fight gone bad so that everyone can just work in that minute, like at their pace, whatever level they're at. And then he showed me the weight and I was like, he's like, what do you think? And I was like, well, it's really light. Like, I don't know what you need to up the weight a little bit. And he's like, okay, whatever.
I know every time I thought I could catch a break, I see him looking at me and I'm like, okay, here you go.
You guys have
Holds me accountable.
Good form too. I was like, every time I'm just like watching everybody and I was like, oh, these girls got it going on.
I'm like, we have to. We try not.
We're representing.
You can tell you're a lifter.
Yeah. It's been a few. I was just like, oh no. Well, I liked the workout because also Chris was like, hey, when you go, you can't do a lot of this and this and this. And I was like, oh, thank God it's a minute rest and minute things. I can take my time.
Yeah.
It was a good one.
We started from when the gym opened. So it's actually almost going to be 3 years. So June will be 3 years. But we started on Saturdays. We normally do like a warm up and then we do like a 14-minute like skills and drills. So I let everybody work on something that they need to get better at in that 14 minutes. And then it's a pretty intense. So I always say everybody schedule like 8 to 9:30.
Yeah.
Cause it's going to be it's either going to be like 3 6-minute AMRAPs and then a chipper, or we'll do like something for time at the end. And usually Saturday is like everyone brings their running shoes cause it'll be distance running. And
every Saturday people like to do running because especially, I don't know why. And I'm like, really? I can't keep going to affiliates on Saturdays, Joyce. We can't keep interviewing on Saturday because all they do is run.
Day. Yeah. It's awesome.
But it's a good practice too.
Yeah.
I like
mix
having those. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just thinking about it. We had a partner workout yesterday and there's a lot of running and I was like, I really try to do running, bike, rowing. I mean, I try to program it all in at once. Yeah. I mean, not at once, but throughout the week.
Yeah, throughout the week. Yeah. Which is really good. So let's start with Blayne. Who is Blayne? How long have you been doing CrossFit?
So this is actually funny because I registered for the Open and I, of course, told all my gym members, I was like, I'm 39 now. And, I was like, I don't think I'm going to do the Open. And then they're like, yeah, right. Yes. And so I know this is crazy, but I was like, I had to call my cousin. I was like, where's the badge number? Like, how do I get that badge number? And she's like, it's going to be emailed to you. And I was like, I need to know how long I've been doing CrossFit.
Right? Because I lost count.
Yeah, you lose count. And so actually, I started CrossFit in 2016.
Okay.
And it was at now the Open used to be in October. Do you guys remember that?
I don't remember when that was.
No, she's a youngin'. I remember that.
Okay, so it wasn't in February, March. It was in October was the Open time.
That's wild.
And so I actually started right in the end of 2016.
Oh, wow.
And I remember I had to do reverse grip, chest to bar.
No way.
Singles off a box.
So you joined in when the Open was happening.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
It's perfect time. So actually a backstory. So I joined in 2013. So they went to March. Then they decided during those years to go to October.
Oh, that's
and now
rough.
they're back to February because it used to be mostly March and it used to be 5 weeks. And then they did a year where it was like, we're going to do February, March, and October. And I was like, why? Just pick one. Pick one.
Yeah.
Right by the holidays too. That's rough.
I liked it in October though, actually.
Me too.
Yeah. I was like the beginning of the year, like you're introducing so many people join gyms.
That's true.
In January. And even our members are, I'm like, you're going to do the open? And they're like, no, I'm not. I don't even know what this stuff is.
Yeah, I know. And then the other thing too is like I always feel like it's still cold.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I was
that's true.
But like in October was like perfect weather.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
It is, and it's like nice to have the doors open or nice breezes.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's still cold.
Yeah. So 2016, that's when I started doing it.
What drove you to CrossFit?
So I actually at the time lived in Cancun, Mexico, and I was doing spin classes. So I actually started exercise with spin classes. And I actually did it with a girl who, her name's Leanne. She owns Anytime Fitness here, and it's in Prescott Valley. So that was kind of one of the first gyms that was here. And a lot of us, like a lot of affiliate owners in this town, like we kind of all have worked out together there.
That's
like
cool.
Just over from high school, college. And so I started doing spin classes. And then when I kind of dabbled in a little bit of like a body pump. Like at Gold's Gym.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah.
It's like strength, a mix of strength and cardio. Yeah.
And then when I moved to Cancun, I was like, where am I going to work out? Like, what do they have there? Like, I have no idea. Like, I'll just work out in a hotel gym. And then I had a really close friend and she's like, have you ever done Insanity Max 30? So legit,
that's what I started with.
Yeah. So I was like Shanti, like so Beachbody. Like I literally started with P90X, Insanity.
Those were the days.
Yeah. And so I just work out in the hotel. And so at the time, I met people in Mexico and they were like, let's go to this gym. And it was kind of like a Gold's Gym.
Yeah.
And there was a couple guys there actually from Brazil. And they were like in this like back room. They were like, we're going to teach you CrossFit. And we're like, CrossFit? I was like, what's CrossFit? Like, and I had no idea. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, well, just do 100 burpees. And I was like,
that was old CrossFit.
So like the warm up was like 100 burpees. And I was like, okay. So like I just go for it. And I still to this day have pictures of myself. Like I could barely get my toes to bar. It was like when you first start, I was like, why do people do this? It rips your hands. Like my hands are hurting so bad.
Yeah.
Like all of these things. But I kind of just fell in love with like how hard it was and how gritty it was. And, it really was just two guys just like kind of showing us what CrossFit was, but it wasn't in a CrossFit affiliate or anything. So we kind of fell in love with that. And then at that time, another guy that we knew was like, hey, you should actually come to this CrossFit gym. And so we're like, so twice a week we would like do spin classes and stuff kind of at this, like, it was called Sports Dreams, like this complex. And then we would go twice a week to this CrossFit gym. That's in Cancun. Cool. And actually, I don't know if you guys know Teffy. I think she's like, I'm pretty sure she's like she does the translating and she does, she's a red shirt.
Yeah.
I have to think of her last name, but she's like, she was coaching at that gym.
What? Oh, really?
So I started learning and I just would learn in Spanish, but visually.
Yeah.
Like I didn't speak Spanish. Everyone would teach me in Spanish and I would just go from there. And so then I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with, it felt super. Are we allowed to cuss? I was like, it felt super.
Yeah. I mean, I welcome it. I don't know.
Yeah, I was like,
you're
it
allowed
felt
to.
super shitty, like in the moment, And then after you're
pause.
Just like, yes.
And like how she's like, are we allowed to cuss? And I was thinking, like, what word? Shitty.
I know. I was like, what was the word? Oh, and I'm like, that's pretty clean.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So yeah, I basically I fell in love with doing it. And so I would like come with like ripped hands. I was so sore. And then when I came home from Mexico, like during like break and stuff, like winter break or Christmas break, I was like, I have to find a CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
So I just Googled one and I ended up showing up at Captain CrossFit for 1 week.
Wow.
And I met Tony and all those guys. And I was like, yes, this is awesome.
This is the beginning of everything.
Yes. That's how it all started.
Nice.
That is super cool. I'm like, what is like the community like in Cancun compared to like coming here? I'm like, that must have been different because like you said, it was a language barrier and everything, and then having to come here and do CrossFit in English and adjust to that and everything. How did that translate?
You know what's really crazy is the community is like, I'd have to say the community is one of like the greatest things across the board because like they all were like super accepting to me, like, and would like cheer me on. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're saying, but, and then vice versa. Like we would just go back. And I actually saw this really funny meme, just that like that Rebecca Fusile.
I love her.
I love her.
She's like, when you first meet somebody in the gym and you're like clapping, like good job. And then once you're like best friends, you're like flipping each other off. It like slowly went to that.
Oh yeah, that one over there. I'm always like, you should have done way better.
Yes.
She's pointing at Emily.
It's awesome. It's awesome too, because one of the coolest things that happened to me this last year is I went back to Cancun.
That's awesome.
I went back to the gym and I got to see everybody and it was just wonderful. And then it was great because I'm in way better shape because obviously CrossFit works.
Yeah.
And so I just got to kick all their asses.
You're like, look what I can do now.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And I got to see the growth of their gym.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
I just, it didn't matter the language. It just kind of like spoke for itself. And it was just like, it's very similar.
I think when there's like a great CrossFit gym and somebody had asked us, they're like, so how do you find these affiliates? Like, are you scared to find a bad one? And I was like, I feel like the ones who answer us and just like are truthful, those are the ones that we go to. I'm like, we haven't been to one yet because we've always heard the community, we're always welcomed. And to hear when we talk to the members or anything like that, you can just feel it. And it's nice to have that. And I'm like, I don't know about a bad one.
Yeah.
And I hope we never find a bad one. I know that it's like the owner or it's the atmosphere, or I know like sometimes non-affiliates because of that. And I feel like for us, we have to hold a standard and we really believe in it, especially when we came from CrossFit. Like I'm from 2013, 2016. Like those were still like the building bones. And so it was like small garages and like you just had to be in it with everybody. So you cheered for everybody. And I know that there's bigger gyms and it's harder to build those relationships. But like when you have that background, you just bring it with everybody else. So it's just like nice to like be like, great gyms everywhere.
Yeah, it is. And it's like we kind of do here in this town, like just with Irene from Prescott Valley, we do like a pop-up Sunday and like we just like put it up on the Instagram and then like we're all working out at her gym on Sunday.
Yeah, because she's
so
like, you guys have to go to 1027. And I was like, all right. And then when I ran into Mary was like, that's Blayne from 1027. I was like, Irene just told me about 1027.
Yeah, she's great. Like that's awesome. And I was like, I have to make it out to Kingman. Like I like to go. It was my mission. I was like, everywhere I go, I have to go to a CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
So anywhere I travel and go, it's like something that I like to do. It's like my thing.
I love that too. My family looks at me like I'm weird, but I'm like, I really love it.
I know Blake did drag me to Tennessee once and nobody wanted to go. I think
nobody wanted to go.
You're going to a CrossFit class at 6 a.m. and I'm like, fine, I'll go.
I was like, that's the only time that fits in with Oliver because we went for the big, huge CMA Fest.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, yeah, we're leaving at 9. And I was like, well, it's either the 6 o'clock one or the 5:30 one. I don't want to do 5:30 because I'm going to be drinking. So we're waking up.
Yeah. I had that's actually funny because to just go off of that story is I was at a Beachbody event in Nashville and I rented a car and I made all the girls drive with me to Cookeville to go to Mayhem.
Oh my God.
And I was like, we're going to Mayhem. And it was the first Mayhem before they renovated and rebuilt the new one.
Oh, wow.
So we went there. Ooh. And then years later, I went back and took my Olympic lifting cert with Mike Bergner at their newer complex.
Okay, Blayne.
Oh, wow.
Next time this happens, you have to invite us. We will pay.
We were talking to
Evan,
and he's like, have you ever done Power Monkey? And I was like, what's Power Monkey? He's like, it's this camp for CrossFitters for adults. And he's like, that's all you do. And then you get to go to Mayhem. And I'm like, I want to do that. And then I was like, $3,000. I'd rather just go to Cookeville and go to a class.
I know.
True.
Yep. I saw the Power Monkey ones. I was wondering, yes, it's like a camp, right?
Yeah.
It looks like fun, yeah.
You get to go to seminars and you do workouts, and it's like adult summer camp, but for CrossFitters. And then they do a main day at Mayhem.
Ooh.
But it's like led by gymnasts and things like that to learn gymnastics and head weightlifters.
Like
to
perfect the skills and everything.
And I was like, I would love to do that.
That sounds amazing.
But I also have 2 children and a family that like to go on vacation, and I can't really bring
Disney
them
cruise. Yeah.
But then I want to do that. They'd be like, bye, we're going to Disney World. And I'm like,
I want to go too.
Yeah. I've had both experiences at Mayhem have been like wonderful for me. Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
One day we will make it happen. That's
so
amazing.
what made you want to be an affiliate owner then?
So it's crazy because I actually was, I graduated with my bachelor's degree in I did visual arts administration and business management.
Wow,
and
good for you.
I was an art major.
Nice.
And I would basically, my job position would be if any government funded building, like a hospital, airport, any of that went up, I would be in charge of the artwork.
That's amazing.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
I always wondered who was in charge of those things.
Yeah. So basically you would get
these?
budgeted, you make salary, you go around, you pick local artists, that kind of thing. And I liked the business sides of things. But exercise was just something that it was something that made me feel good.
Yeah.
I think that in all truth, I started it because I was in my early 20s, and of course, I didn't want to be fat, and the whole just winding down the whole thing, counting calories, trying to out-train your body. So I think I started it. I have all brothers, and then when I went to college, I moved in with all girls, and I was like, okay, this is a very different world.
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
How much do you weigh? How much do you weigh? It just kind of got weird like that for me. And I actually think that all girls go through that, or if they haven't gotten over it, they're still going through it. It's just a life kind of thing to anyways, you guys get what I'm talking about.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
No, it is, because I feel like people don't always touch on it, or they forget about it, and they're like, oh, it's fine because you've grown out of it. I'm like, being a girl is hard. It's not just the hormones and the emotions. That's what, when we start learning about our bodies and your friend next to you is learning about their bodies, then it's a complex. And we build these complexes in elementary school.
Yeah.
Or sometimes preschool.
Yep.
Because the parents are doing it, or outside forces are doing it. And then you grow up to do it. And then when you go through, puberty and all that, and thinking about, man, I'm fat. And there's so many people in their late 20s or 30s or 40s are like, man, I thought I was fat in high school and I wasn't. And look at where I'm at now. And I'm like, someday we need to change that, a big, huge movement of changing that.
Yeah. And it's it was just such diet culture, following the fad diets and then being a certain size, and then comparing yourself even to a magazine or pop stars, or and then hiding your body, wearing certain things to hide your body, and having the confidence, and so really exercise started giving me a little bit more of the confidence that I needed, even though if I started off rocky and didn't know what I was doing, maybe I was having fat-free Diet Coke, that kind of stuff, and not really learning about health. So basically I just remember feeling so good every time I would exercise. This is what I need in my life. And so outside of graduating college, I was just how can I make this be a passion of mine? So whether it was coaching online with Beachbody first, and then learning about CrossFit, I then was hey, there's a bunch of kids at this CrossFit gym, and I know there's a kids certification. And so actually going back to Tony, I would going to his gym. I liked it. And I was hey, there's a lot of kids here. What if I go get my L1 and then I get my kids cert? Can I coach a kids class?
Yeah.
And at that point I was just trying to be, I was for my membership.
Right.
I was can I be
let's do an exchange.
Really,
Exchanging here.
But it paid, it actually I'm the one who was rewarded, because then I started coaching kids, and then I started realizing okay, we can change that directory of like
Exactly.
going back to like that body complex and like body image, you know, and like creating healthy habits. And so I just started building relationships with these kids. And it's crazy because some of the kids I started coaching when they were 6 are now 17 in my gym.
Oh, wow.
Like, or like, you know, like, or 15.
Yeah.
They're like all
grown.
grown. Yeah. Or they had like, you know, like I'm like, I remember when you were 6 and now you're in here and
Doing box
you were
jumps.
8 and I just like, and now I have their little sisters and like, so then I just was like, okay, I have all brothers, but maybe I am like a girl's girl. Maybe I can like help these girls and have this good complex and like healthy habits. And so I started with the CrossFit kids and then I was like, you know what, my L1's going to expire. I'm going to go get my L2. Like I'm going to keep going and with it. And it's crazy because then I did my Olympic lifting cert before my L2.
That's
and
awesome.
It just kind of has been so rewarding by not only helping kids or teenage girls or any of that. I started getting asked to speak about, then I got my nutrition through Precision Nutrition, like certifications. And then I was like, I just started getting asked to do like nutrition seminars or coming and talking to like the high school cheerleading team about body image. And it's just because, so I'd have to say that was probably the initial like start. Like I can actually help these people because I just had like an unhealthy habit with food and, you know, working out and out training and, you know, trying to count every calorie. And it was just like driving me mad, you know, kind of thing. So I think it just took a turn with like the body positive and like, hey, let's just start here with a foundation of food and health, and then we'll move from there. So
That's perfect.
I don't know if I went off the rails with that question.
No, I love
you
that.
did really good.
I think that's a big part of what CrossFit is. And it's something that I really learned later at the end, that it's not just about showing up and working out, but it's about building a relationship with like learning about your body, learning about what foods work well with you, learning about your mental health. And I noticed like coming into your like gym, you're talking, just hearing you talk about like the goal of body image and kind of doing that. But you can, I mean, oh man, I forgot the young man's name, but he was here and you guys were talking about, it sounded like very deep stuff. And I was like, it's great how like someone could feel that comfortable to
How
just
could you
talk to
forget about
Blayne.
David?
Yeah,
Exactly. Should I say Captain Jack Sparrow?
Yeah. I was like, I
The
remember
stage
that
name.
Yeah.
But you can sense and feel that people feel comfortable to bring up things like that to someone like their coach, like someone who owns the gym. And I feel like that's hard to find, to be able to feel that sense of comfort in somebody that's maybe not necessarily blood, but just the person that's motivating you day in and day out, and to have those relationships with like the people you see here. I think it's a beautiful thing. And I think, like you said, being a coach is, you know, you're teaching people not only how to move, but you're teaching them how to like build a relationship with themselves. And it's crazy how you, like you mentioned, there's different kinds of people. You know, some people came from different backgrounds. Some people come from easy backgrounds, but they're all here together doing one thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's great to come here and sit with like the affiliates and talk to them about it, because it's a beautiful feeling to feel being in here and sensing that from everyone. So
it is, because some members, you know, they don't engage. They don't engage, but it's also like their mind goes to like they're having a bad day and how come they don't have enough equipment? They get money like this, they get money like that. And it's like, this is an eye-opening thing where these affiliate owners take the time, and you don't have that repercussion or that challenge with members because you're literally taking the time. And that's why when Chris would be like, oh, we hired you and Phoebe for this, you know, like, there's different people for different types of people. And to me, like Blayne, you just like check all of the boxes. And I don't know if it's also like a woman thing where it's like, no, like, how are you doing today? Oh, I heard like you were gone for 2 weeks. How was that vacation? Or I know you're having surgery. When's that? Like, there's just things that like, even when I do it and some of the other coaches are like, how do you remember that? Because they're a morning person. I was like, because I just ask. I'm a very nosy person, but it's also because I care, because at work, they might not be saying this. At home, who knows who they're talking to? Like, it's nice that they pay me to be nice. So like, I genuinely care.
I was like, there's something that's like, it's like, I run a kids camp every summer and there's like 40 to 50 kids. And I was like, I will know every single one. Like, I will know everyone's name. I also do like I coach the Yavapai tribe, like the tribal school. So all their kids. And I was like, I will know, like, there's just like everyone's name. And it's, I remember like, I think that I went, when I was first going to an affiliate, like, no, they just kept not remembering my name and spelling it wrong. And I was like, whatever, like, not a big deal, but it's like, that is important to me to know everybody's
it's a respect thing, right?
And to know exactly how to spell it. Like it needs to be spelled right on the board. But I also like want everybody to like, I want to make sure that everyone is said hello to and like goodbye. And for me, it's not like the just owning a business or like getting something out of it. I genuinely want to know as much as I can know about everybody in this gym. Yeah. Just because you never know if somebody is like let's say like, let's say David, he's going through this and he's like moving and, he needs help. But then I know Matt over here has like a trailer that's just sitting there. So it's like, I know that about Matt and I know that about David. And it's like, hey, Matt, do you think like on Saturday we could use your trailer and like help David? And then it's like, it's not that we have to be like this like connected family outside of the gym, but it's like if we can like help each other and know each other, and if I can be that linking block between everybody, I really care about that. Yeah. And like the other thing too with like, as going back to like why I started the gym is I've just been around people working out for so long, and people get stronger. They do. And they do get in better shape, but then it's like everyone like, but my body's not changing. My body's not changing. I'm actually gaining weight because I'm gaining muscle. And it's like, so I had a couple buddies where I was like, all right, I'm going to meal prep. Like, and they're like, well, can we do it with you? And I would train with them. And of course they were boys, but they were late. And I was like, okay, I already made all your food. Here it is. And I just handed it to them. And they're like, you should make this a business. And then I was like, so this was literally 6 years ago.
No way.
6 years ago. And so I started a meal prepping business. And so I literally was like, this is the missing link, like people's food choices. And people know in here, like if you walk in with like a Red Bull or a Monster, like, and you set it down, like if you set it down, I don't say anything, but literally that goes in the trash. Like I literally put it in the trash. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Did I just throw that away?
Was that yours? Oh,
I thought it was empty. Just like, they kind of know. Yeah. I'm not like this crazy person, like you can't have anything, but I definitely run nutrition seminars all the time. And we like right now we're all in a 6-week like challenge. Like people have to give something up, right? Like let's just start there, or let's just focus on protein and water. Yeah. So it's like important that aspect is like played into it on all levels. I try to teach the kids about like, what's a protein? Yeah. What's this? Like
that's awesome.
And they tease me like, we don't like your organic granola bars.
They taste horrible.
But like
talk to me in 12 years when your taste buds have changed. They taste amazing.
It's just kind of like the whole aspect of like, fitness, nutrition. Yep. I just honestly, I just want to help people. That's the main goal. And to see those things is like, I was just telling Tony, like, I was like, it's crazy. Like Deanna, there's a girl in here, Deanna, and there's a lady in here, Andrea. And she's like, I'm going to be a little bit late tomorrow. I have to drop my car off and I have to wait for them to give me a ride. And Deanna's like, no, I'll see you at 7:30. I'll pick you up. Yeah. And like, it's like, they know each other because of here. Right. But then it's like, they're creating this, like, how sweet is that they're building this, like, because Andrea doesn't have any family here. So like Deanna takes the initiative. I'll pick you up on the way to the gym. Like, I got you. Know what I mean? So it's kind of like to see that, like I really pay attention to those little details that really matter. And that's like the community. Yeah. Going back to the community. Like building.
And I feel like people on the outside are like, we keep hearing this community in a CrossFit, because you can go back to half of the people think it's a cult. And I'm like, but the community is not asking for anything. It's really like giving to the people that need it. And it's also receiving it. And I had like a couple weekends ago, my mother-in-law just moved in with us, and my husband had excruciating pain. We were at urgent care. And so I put on our members like, hey, by chance, can anybody help? And one of our members' husbands, Andrew, was like, yeah, no problem. And then Chris, the owner, was like, I'm getting off at 2. Where do you need me? And by the time we got out of urgent care, they were done. And they're like, why didn't you ask us to do this? And I was like, I just like didn't think. And I was like, and they're like, well, if she moves again, just let us know. And it's like, it's so nice to have people to depend on when you don't have family. Because that's the same with me, Joycey too. Like we don't have family in Kingman. So we we rely on people, and it is scary.
Yeah.
To be like, okay, because half of the people I've counted on before have let me down. So the community is always like there, and that's why I'm like, it's not a cult, because we actually truly cherish and love each other and will be there for each other.
And I think there's something to like be said about like suffering through a workout together.
Yeah.
Like you kind of almost see each other at your worst,
most vulnerable
right away.
Yeah.
You know, like David throwing up. He did that
I mean,
himself.
man, we've all been there.
We have.
You know, like,
I was like, oh, this is real.
oh yeah, Kingman. The workout that Kingman, that last competition I did there, I was like, I needed a 20-minute. I think I walked all the way down at least 2 miles away from the gym and back.
Well, that's who that little dot was over there. I was like, oh man,
I was so sick.
No, those were rough.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just going back to that community thing. It was, you know, I was coaching and working out at an affiliate, and then I decided to go to the garage to my kind of was during like the COVID thing too. So it kind of timed pretty well. But I started working out in my garage, and then when it was I had a friend, and she's like, you need to just open your own gym. You need to expand. Like you need to, like, even if it's just for your personal training clients.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, let's start looking. So I started looking, and I knew this gym was here. Right. And so I was like, all right, the places I found were pretty nice. And I was like, I don't know. It doesn't feel right yet. And I knew the owner of this gym. It was Iron Springs CrossFit, because she actually used to coach at the same gym that I was at.
Okay.
And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to call her. And I was like, hey, can we have breakfast? And I bought a breakfast, and I was like, hey, if you ever sell your gym, like, come to me first, please. Like, you know.
Nice.
And I was like, why not just support somebody who maybe doesn't want to do it anymore?
Yeah.
You know, and take her space and not have to rebuild, you know,
Right.
That's something that's already there. So it actually worked out. And within like 6 months, we did it. And then a girl that coaches here, Bree, her and her husband, I actually just on the Sugar WOD posted like us starting, but her husband, me, and there was like a few other people. We like knocked out this wall. They helped me. She had her daughters in here painting. Like we just did the whole thing together. And then going back to the Matt Holdsworth and his family, when I needed to move all my equipment from my garage, they just showed up with a box car, and literally I was like, that took an hour.
Nice.
You're like, I was thinking a whole day.
The whole day.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I was like, everybody just pulled together and helped me. And I was like, wow. And I didn't even have to ask. And I think that's what the community part of it is.
Yeah. And that's why I've stuck with it the longest, is the community. And just like, I don't know. I mean, it's rough. Like everything is rough. And I like, for some reason, the roughness and everything. Every day is different. Something different is going to be hurting the next day, or not hurting. Yeah. But it is like the biggest thing is the community. And because I've done it through both my pregnancies, and just like having people. Like never would have thought that I would have had like a second family that at times has been there more than my actual family.
Yeah.
So I think when we go around, like that's what we mainly hear. And I'm like, that's what CrossFit is truly about. Great CrossFit is just mainly community.
Yeah.
Not like working out.
Another thing too, like being like an affiliate owner or just like running the gym is like, one, like on a personal level, it's like when I get to go like learn from Mike Bergner, or if I get to learn from Greg Glassman, it's like I'm standing in a room with like greatness, you know? And so I get to pull from these people who know, who teach.
Yeah.
And then even when I visit other affiliates, I get to pull and know what is good, like out of that affiliate, and I can implement it. And it's like, and make it a part of this. And Greg Glassman, he told me, make sure your box is a box, like put everything on the outside. Like he kind of showed me how to set up the box. Like that's the best way. And like, I love that I put the plates in the center, like the community comes to the center to get their plates kind of thing. Yeah. And he's like, keep it small, like and simple. And he's like, and the art of it is like in the programming. And I know there's like so much programming like offered for like purchase and stuff like that. And that's great because someone is programming in that. But something for me is like, I have literally always programmed every single workout as an athlete and as a coach. And so just recently, like in the last couple months, me and Tony started like collaborating a little bit more.
Yeah.
And we added kind of like just a lifting class, which people really like. And we're adding a conditioning class like once a week that will just be conditioning.
Nice.
And then we have, I started a low impact class. So this has,
I love
like,
that.
That's really good.
Yeah, like
I love
this
that.
has like so there's no WOD.
Yeah.
So there's options. Like we have CrossFit, low impact, powerlifting, and conditioning. Like there's different classes. You can get something different, dynamic. And I mean, you get all of that with a CrossFit programming and workout. But we like to just kind of have some variety of, honestly, I'd have to say that I'm like sneaking in CrossFit without calling it CrossFit so it doesn't scare anybody away.
Yeah. Because a lot of people get scared by it. They do. They get frightened.
It's like, the girl, I'm like, man, you just did some power cleans and like box step ups and ball slams and you just did a CrossFit workout.
Yeah.
We're not going to call that.
Say WOD.
Yeah. So it's in the
you're
clear.
welcome.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah.
So speaking of programming, you mentioned, do you guys write your own program or do you guys go through a certain program?
I have the last like 3 years, I've written every single programming week to week. And then Tony and I recently, he was like, can I do some of the strength stuff? He's like, you do the accessory. Cause I'm very like, I love the warm up strength accessory WOD. He's like, I'll do some of the strength stuff. And you, he loves like John Wellborn and all those guys that used to do CrossFit football. And so he likes all the power athlete guys. And I was like, all right, I'll do warm up, accessory, and then definitely the WOD. So
I love it.
Yeah, it's just, but so I've kind of let him, and I don't really have like ego on that aspect. I just want it to be like original and genuine, so like I do want to do all my own programming.
That's awesome.
I do want to do, because I also am an athlete. So it's like, it's yesterday, everyone's like, I don't like this workout. And I was like, you know what? I don't like it either. I really actually don't like any of these movements, but I have to do them. I'm going to do them.
And there's things like that with the program writers, like Mayhem, HWPO. There's tons of things where I'm like, oh, this looks really good. And then I coach it. I'm like, I'm not good at all. And then when 5:30 comes around, I'm like, y'all gonna die. I'm just gonna be upfront with you because I couldn't do that for 4:30. But trust me, when I tell you, pick lower weights. Yeah. And then when you come crying to me at the end, I'm gonna say, I told you, I was very truthful with you.
Nothing is like more humbling than doing like a Tabata, making people do Tabata.
My God.
Like, are you sure about that?
Do you remember like back in the day, there used to be Tabata Tuesdays?
Oh, no. But
see,
maybe I should do that.
I'm very like old school.
That sounds pretty cool. Yeah.
Tuesday.
There was a lot, and we would do it. I think there was like 1 month that the owner picked in my first CrossFit box, and it was every Tuesday was a Tabata Tuesday.
Ew.
We didn't have boards. We had chalk and the floor, and we would right on the floor. That was your spot, and you'd keep track that way. Like, girl, I was from old school.
That's kind of cool though. I love that.
Yeah, and it's fun to see how things are growing, but it's nice that you have a hand in your programming.
True.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So then you can feel and understand what the athletes are going to do. And
it's like important to know, like, okay, like something that personally that I have experienced the benefit of it, and also like something that I've listened to Greg Glassman telling me is like, he told me like, you need to make your midline like a brick. And he's like, I'm not talking about like vanity aesthetics, like 6-pack abs. I'm talking about like your erectors need to be like stacked. Like you need to have a midline, and the backside of your body needs to be as strong as you can have it, because that's what's going to protect your spine is that core.
People forget about stabilization 100%. And I feel like we're starting to get back to that because we're teaching it, and we have a physical therapist that is very like hamming on it. But I feel like there was somewhere lost where CrossFit was just like, oh, we're just doing workouts, but we're not teaching about stabilizing. We're not teaching the whole
like
lift.
Core to extremity. Like you have to have.
We're
like
not. We're just like, oh, just lift it. You know?
And it's definitely so. Like I think my gym knows me for like tight butt, tight core, or they will always just say make diamonds, because I'm always like tight butt, tight core, stack it. Like it has to be stacked.
I love that.
And it's
stack it and pack it.
Yeah, and it's like it's literally like. I'm just like, even like in the deadlift, like lock your lats down. Like there's just every cue, but it's like, and I don't care if I have to repeat it for 20 years, you know, but it's like the GHD needs to be utilized like no other. Like we do so much of that, you know, and actually knowing the difference between a back extension, hip extension.
Yeah. Cause the whole, and then like we are going way too far. You're not.
Or like the glute ham raises and like all of this stuff, but really just like, you know, the accessory work, like the bent over row, the straight arm pull downs, like all of this other stuff that's like more like bodybuilding movements. They just have to be correlated to create that. So, and then of course, like good form, like if you got to just slow it down and have that good form kind of thing. But yes, programming is like, it's a learning process, but I think I would say I'd have a little bit of an advantage being the athlete so that I can know like, hey, like maybe come Thursday, I try to do like every Wednesday is like a no WOD Wednesday. We call it no WOD Wednesday. And so there's like no score, no nothing like that. And of course my members are like, this is bullshit. This is not no WOD. And it's like 8 rounds of 200 meter run, sled push, farmer carry.
That sounds pretty good. I was like, that sounds pretty cool, actually.
They're like, this is not a no WOD. And I'm like, oh, you know, kind of thing. But it's just, it's important. It's important to have that midline, like, you know, so I like to have the hand in programming because I want to know what I'm doing the programming. That's another thing. Yeah. I'm not a coach that like puts it out there and doesn't do it. So everything that's on the board, I'm doing as well. So when come Thursday, if I'm like, you know, like I this is how I'm feeling. I know these guys are going to feel it. I can be like, hey, I know everyone's pretty sore from the week so far. Like, let's just pull it back. Let's pick one weight on this EMOM, keep it light. Let's just move for technique so that I can know just based on myself, you know, and knowing everybody and just how they move, you know, and even to my own coaches, I'm like, you guys just have to getting to know people, going back to the community. You got to know that this girl had like hip surgery. Like you want her to squat below parallel. She can't, she had hip surgery. That's her range of motion. Let's make sure everything else is safe. That's her range of motion because everybody's going to have it, you know? And then it's like, going back to David, we love David, but it's like, you know, sometimes you see David move and it's like, okay, but do you know where David started? Like, do you know how far David came? Like, do you know like what he's been doing, how he used to move and the knowing him well enough to know his cues that he needs it to just stay in that check. But it's like, you just got to be involved. That's like, you can't,
that's the biggest thing is being involved and knowing what people are going through. There's like times when I've had members who are like, I'm having a really rough day. And I'm like, oh, you need a win today. Okay, well, Blake's not going to be like, I know you could have done better. You don't need that. So it's like, okay, you're on this side. And whatever you need, it's going to be a yes for you today because I could just see it. And then some of my members are like, how come I don't get a yes? I was like, you haven't been there yet. You are not at your lowest point in life right now. That person just told me.
I'm
like, you still need a pusher.
It is.
Talking about you, Terry.
Or knowing like when to tell somebody like, hey, that's too heavy for you. You need to back off. And there's times when they're like, how come they didn't listen? I go, I don't know because we're adults and sometimes adults just don't care and they don't want to listen. I go, Blake can only tell them 5 times. I go, I tell them.
I'm like, don't look at me.
And you have the one member. You're like, man, I've like literally have told you this like so many times, and then you fix it, and like 2 minutes later, you're right back
right back to it.
And that's like, okay. You just stay on them. And I'm, you know, I'm not a mom. I don't have kids, but I was like, this is like, it's like having kids. It's like you got to be involved.
You got 50, girl.
You got to repeat it, like you know. So you just have to make it like you just have to go.
And each kid is different.
Like, it is. And like in level 1, when I went, they're like, you know, you go up to them and you talk to them and you have that sidebar and then you look at them and be like, hey, let's do this. And then you do the whole class call where you do like for everybody. So everybody thinks they need to fix it. And then you go back to them and I'm like, I do all the things. I go, sometimes we're adults and we're like, you know what? I just want to lift this. And I do give them the example like, hey, remember Blake was gone for a year and a half because of her back. This is because I didn't stabilize and I just decided to lift heavy. So do you want to do that? No. Most of you have full-time jobs. Blake is a stay-at-home mom and coaches. So you will be out of work.
It's important.
It is. Going on to the coaches, how does your team like help with like new athletes or like prolonging the athletes? Like what do you instill in your coaches? I know we kind of went on it like knowing the members, but is there something that, do you have like coaches meetings to go over like, hey, these are this, or what is your staff like?
So
tell us about them.
I actually feel super lucky because I have 3 girls and their names are Bree, Casey, and Christy. And, you know, we all work out here together. So we kind of have like this, we have like this friendship, which is like kind of like a good base. And, we all have things that we have to work on, of course. And we meet up and we'll talk about them. We communicate them. We have a group chat going. And then of course, Tony is our newest coach, even though he let all of his certs go. And then I was like, you know, you can coach at my gym, you know, cause he would like kind of come in here and work out. And he was like, I was like, babe, you're that guy that's like coaching people and you're just a member.
He wants to go tap me in. He's like, tap me in, coach.
He's all telling people what to, he's like, he's like, who are you? No, Tony, it's funny because everybody knows Tony in here, but I was like, I go, if you coach here, you got to get your L1.
Yeah.
You have to be certified. And he's like, so it was, I mean, for me, it was just a classic moment, you know, because we banter and we rival a lot with each other from day one. But I mean, it was like 5 a.m. and I could hear the wall ball downstairs against the wall. Yeah. He's on doing the L1. I'm like, yes. And
you gotta love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was 2 years ago, I made him do a CrossFit competition with me against a bunch of our friends. We entered into like the scaled version. And, you know, I was like, I gotta put it all back on him. Like, you know, you don't get it. You don't get to stop right now. You gotta get up on the box, you know, kind of thing. So I'm lucky that we have Tony and he's the newest coach and he is so smart and intelligent. And he's one of those guys that I would say that he was a CrossFitter and power lifter. And then he just kind of backed off of it for a while. And so maybe he's not in the best like cardiovascular shape, but he's like going back into it. So he's like leading by example. And so sometimes, you know, people will say like, well, I don't like listening to people who don't do it themselves. And, but Tony has done it all, you know, and Tony's smart and he knows. And one thing about him for sure is he genuinely cares about each person. Like, you know, like really cares about them. But, the 3 girls that I have are, one of them was coaching at another gym prior, and then she recerted. And Bree and Casey are recently newer coaches, probably in the last 3 years. And so I think what's beneficial for them is that they are the athletes and they live to the standard of the athlete. And so they get to kind of help everybody hear what they know, you know, and what they do. And I think people look up to them, you know, as athletes. So it's kind of, those girls are honestly, they're so solid for me. They are, I'm just going to say this, like, because it's something that's like dear to me. Like, they don't party, they don't drink, they show up on time. They're not sloppy. Like, you know, like they're reliable. They're all moms. They're just wonderful girls. And so, I think that they're continuing to learn, as we go, which is kind of the best way to do it. And so I personally did not have like an onboarding, like internship. Like it's just, if Bree's coaching the 8:30, 9:30, I'm at Bree's classes. You know, I'm going to take her classes. So I'm going to be right there. I'm going to watch her. And then I'm not going to like embarrass her or stop her or say she needs to do this. Like I'm going to say like, hey, after the class, like, hey, Bree, like this is a better way to show that movement. You know, like I'll just pull it aside. And honestly, I'm learning to coach coaches. Because the one thing is I can teach them what I want and what I want them to look for, but I can't teach them my personality. You know, and so they're going to have to kind of build a relationship with each person on their own. You know, and be able to, have fun and talk some crap and move around and learn and make their mistakes. And it's just kind of fun to watch, but I'm really lucky with those 3 girls. And Bree literally has been with me since day one. And her and I just kind of, basically, I feel like I told her, I was like, dude, we opened the gym together. Like, it was like us.
We did that.
You gave me a break, you know? And then it's kind of funny because I want to be involved as much as I can, but I also have this awesome opportunity to like give these girls jobs that are awesome for money. Like, you know, so it's like, there's like this balance. Right. And so I was gone, Tony and I went to New York and they covered all the classes. And so then the next week I just did all the classes myself and everyone's like, why are you here so much? And I was like, did you guys miss me? I was like, I'm trying to give them
we kind of got used to it.
I was like, I'm trying to give them a break. I need to see my people. Like,
right.
I
missed you guys.
Yeah.
It's like, the opposite when our people go. They're like, Blake, why are you here in the morning? And I'm like, or they're like, oh my God, did something happen to Chris? Is Dave okay? And I'm like, yeah, Dave's doing the afternoon.
You're like, good to see you too, guys.
I only come to 5 a.m. if they're paying me. Obviously, the owner's on vacation.
Yeah.
Why didn't he tell us? I don't know. He doesn't have to tell you when he's going. And I told him, I start to tell him, like, can you start to ease your classes? Like, hey, remember, I'm going to this place. Gonna be gone for a couple weeks. You're not gonna see me. And then by like the 4th day, they're like, oh, good to see you, Blake. I was like, it's my last day at 5 a.m. Yes.
I love it. I seriously feel like so lucky. Like I do not worry when I'm gone. Like these girls are like, and Tony, they're just so solid and good people that like,
I think like coming from like a coaching center, not an owner, like when an owner says that, it's like the highest form of flattery. Yeah. It's like, oh, thanks. Like it's nice to have that, but it's also nice that you have owners that have taught you or they believe in you in that sense of like, oh, I know that you're to take care of my baby here. Like I trust in you in that. And so it's just like a learning from both ends. And it's very, very nice.
Something I need to do more is like, I need to like, people compliment them a lot. And I think I get really busy and I try to do my best in telling them, but it's like, if someone's like, man, Casey was such like, she was on it today. She taught us this. Like, I need to like, I either need to be like, you need to tell Casey or I need to reply it back. Like, hey, Casey, like I'm getting lots of compliments on you. So like, keep it up, girl. Like, and so I need to be better at like, I just think of those things. How can I be better? And I like our little group chat, you know, it's like, hey, does this schedule work? And it's like 19 text messages later. And it's like, okay, we got it figured out.
I do love when like coaches have like a social media and everyone just starts contributing to it, like our Facebook page. And it's also a great place to, like you said, like, I need help. Can someone help me out in finding someone to help me with the truck? And that's where everyone communicates. But I think it also sets like an amazing community outside of the gym whenever needed, you know? So it's cool that you guys have that set up. That's a beautiful thing.
And it's kind of cool because then you don't really like that's like going back, like, I don't know everything. Like, I mean, 2 girls were in here one day and one of them was like, it was actually my coach, Bree. She was like, yeah, I helped Gabby move all day yesterday. And I was like, what? Gabby asked you? Like, I don't
like that's happening.
And I was like, yes, this is awesome. This is like community, right? Like, this is like,
y'all are doing it on your own, you know, like that's a great thing.
Yeah.
So tell us about your members. How many members do you have in your gym?
Okay. So that's kind of, one of your other girls like asked me and I was like, okay, listen, this is something. So, I don't want to get like super emotional, but in 2017, my mom died.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And so this gym is actually named after her, which is 1027 is her birthday. So I wrote on this wall right here behind the barbells, I wrote like a really long prayer. And I said, I just wanted this space to be for the greater good of all things. And like it to be something that God could use me to make good. And so I just feel like in my heart, if I focus on the good, like the members and the money will come and I'm not going to focus on the number of the members and the money. And so I would say that I don't personally count my members. I don't know the membership count. I'm not like, oh, I need one more member or I need this. Like, I don't really pay attention to that. We do have a really good group here. It's definitely, I would say it's definitely over 100 just because 115, just because I have the kids program and and it's growing. So it's kind of like, it's cool because the way a gym works, I feel like is like, unless you're a psycho like me, I'm coming 6 days a week, right?
Yeah.
Like my name's always on the board. But some people are like 2 and 3 days a week, you know, so it's like, it's a rotation. So some nights I close the gym and there's like, you know, 92 names on the board. And then the next day there's like 78, but they're not the same names as the before. Like, you know, so it's just like, I don't really focus on that part of it. Mm-hmm. I also am somebody who, gives a good price point. And it's not because I'm trying to compete with the other gyms. It's because, and have a better price. It's because like, it's not like an ego thing. Like I have a better price, come here, you know, it's because that's affordable. Like in our town, in our economy, like I want it to be something affordable. If I have a family of 5, I can't charge $175 for a membership. That's insane. Yeah. I can even give a price, you know, point or like a break it down. And it's just like, I'm not there for that. I want those 5 family members, the mom and dad and their 3 kids, to come to the gym because it's important. And I like genuinely want that. Yeah. And, it's just not, I don't know. It's not, I never started this to be like, I wanted it for the people. Yeah. And not for myself. And the reward of everything is like amazing, you know, kind of thing. And I know that everything will just fall into place over time. And that's just how it goes. And how life goes. I'll stick it out. Like, you know, like I'm in it, you know, I plan to get my L3. So it's awesome. That's kind of like the next level and just following it as it goes, you know? Yeah. Well, something too, for me, I think, and this is just me, is like, I don't know the direction of CrossFit, like the future of CrossFit, but if it went to like a franchise thing, I'm not sure if that's for me, just because I want the freedom to program. I want the freedom to help the individual and know my community. I definitely want to name my own price for what I feel is fair to everybody, you know, so that we're all just walking away with something good. You know, it's not about, I mean, it's not about like the merchandise and all that kind of stuff for me. And just, that would be something that I would have to think about moving forward, because I love the methodology and like what Greg, you know, and Dave, like they have all created this awesome thing, but moving that direction, I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever count my membership count, but I can tell you there are days in here where I'm just like, goodness gracious, I don't know how anybody is going to can somebody work out in the bathroom?
Outside in the parking lot?
Yeah, and I'm thankful for this back door. Like if we go out there, there's all that space in the summer. And I always tell people like during kids class, like, you know, enter at your own risk in here, because if you can't get comfortable being close and trusting the person at the barbell behind you, you just... That's true. It's not going to work. So
kind of going back onto like what you were talking about, like franchise or not, how do you feel about like some of the changes that CrossFit, and this was a big question for last year because they switched how they raised prices for affiliates. The owners had to get level 2. Like, how do you feel with that, and kind of like what CrossFit is maybe wanting to go into for this year?
Getting the L2 to be an affiliate owner, I think is awesome. I think that's a huge plus. I say that because I literally sat at my L1 and there was a girl came in jeans and high heels. Yeah. And it was like, and a top. And I'm like, okay, she literally is getting her L1. And no, I mean, it's not a judgment against her of what she's doing, but she's getting an L1 to open an affiliate to, you know, run a business. And it's just like, to me on the outside, that looks like you really don't care about the people, you know,
you care about money.
Yeah. And so it's like pushing you to have that qualification for the next level, like understanding, that's awesome.
Well, level 2 is like geared for the coaching actually.
Yeah.
And because like level 1 is just like, because I had people who, oh no, my first day of CrossFit's going to be in 2 weeks. I just decided to. And I was like, you had the money to just decide to come here and learn. Yeah. I wish I had that. Yeah. But it was like, oh, like this is like just the beginning. Yeah. So, cause I'm going for my level 2 in March, but I know there was like hemming and hawing about it. But I was like, but it's about coaching. It's geared to coaching.
And don't you want to like continually educate yourself? Like nobody wants to stay stagnant. Like, you know, you guys know those people from high school that you like run into like later and you're like, whoa, you're still
in
from high school.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whoa, it's been 20 years, like you know, kind of thing. And it's just like that personal development. Like you want to continue to learn and grow and change, you know? With the affiliation, like price increase, I honestly have I had no problem with that. I mean, I started the gym and it was $3,000 a year, and I think it go to $4,500.
I think so.
Now I can see how, like, if you have like multiple gyms and you're grandfathered in with like a $500 affiliate, that's kind of like a low blow. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I get that, but I think that like anybody to think that it wasn't going to change, is like kind of being a little bit like naive.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
It was also
that's like the interest rates of houses. Like, that's just, it's going to change.
But if I was an affiliate that I was like, I just paid $3,000 and wait a minute, there's people who are paying $500 just because they got there earlier than me. Yeah. Like, if I would have known that, I would have signed up then when I was 18 and created a gym. Yeah. Like, I'm like, there had to be a happy medium.
But if you think about that, like $4,500 for the year, like you can't like hold any, like every company, I feel like anybody throughout their life, like, you know, like basically you're going to have like ebbs and flows and ups and downs, and things are going to happen. But like what Greg Glassman created with CrossFit is like a solid foundation. Like I don't think it's like a cult. It's like literally like a methodology of cross training your body with all of these amazing things he just combined together, you know? And it's like, I want that name, you know, I want the education. You know, if I was to disaffiliate, it's like then all these girls that have their L1 or L2 and Tony, like then where are their credentials?
Yeah.
You know, where does it
and
go
it's a
for?
Standard. Like you have to hold yourself and everybody else accountable and to a standard. And like just going off of like where we were talking about coaching and everything, Tony, like even with Eric, because this is his second class, was like, hey, you know, instead of those squats, front squats, we're to do it with a kettlebell. And then he came and literally sat by him for wall balls and was like, hey, do this. And it's like, that is a standard that we have when we have those levels or credentials because we took the class. And if you just took the class, you'd be like, oh, I just took it. To me, it was, no, I took it, passed it, signed it. I need to hold myself to that standard. And plus my boss, like he has me at a standard too.
Yeah. Like doing the right thing, like just having integrity, like carrying the insurance for the gym, like doing all of those things, you know, it's like, to me, like it did not affect me in a negative way. I think it was like a positive thing, you know? Like I said before, if I'm not sure how I'd feel about having like a franchise where I'd have to follow a certain thing that would take the heart,
the personality, that's not even the essence of what you.
Because it's not CrossFit; those are like Globo gyms that have that, and it takes away what the foundation was built on. Yeah, I would hate it. Yeah, because it's just different.
It's not what I agreed to or signed up for to the initial start. So
do you have an onboarding process for new members, or what do you do?
So if somebody comes into the gym and like wants to try, I let everybody try it for a week for free. Like just come for the week, meet people. I definitely follow like a regimen. Like, you know, Mondays is going to be like legs, all body. Tuesdays, upper body, all body. Wednesdays, like the no WOD, more conditioning and strength together. And then it's like Thursdays, like a deadlift and power clean. And Fridays, like upper body strict press. Like so I kind of follow like a regimen. So I want to give them like every day. Maybe someone hates squats and loves bench, like, you know, kind of thing. So they get to come in for the week. All of my coaches are very good at this of knowing, like, I'll just say like, hey, you know, let's just say like Susan, she's brand new, like they know the scaling options. So I don't have like a beginner's class. And I know this sounds really weird, but it's like, I never wanted to separate the beginner away from the class. Like, so I get like they're having like a beginner's class and that's just to everybody. teach their own.
Yeah.
What works for them. But I want to kind of throw them in with the class right away. And so that they can see that, you know, maybe let's say the best athlete in the class has that on the bar. The girl next to him is scaling down. This girl over here is using dumbbells instead. So I want her to see the dynamic. I want to see the new person to see the dynamic in the class, and then make sure that my coaches know how to scale accordingly to that very first day. Like, hey, that's 3 rounds on the board. I'm actually just going to have you do 2. We're going to do this instead. And when we get to the WOD, it's 5 rounds. I'm just going to have you do 2. We're just going to kind of move, see how you move. And just kind of include them right off the bat is kind of how I feel that works best.
That's how I joined CrossFit. My CrossFit was like that. And it was just, you jumped in and then they would scale you. And so like when I went to my next one, they're like, oh yeah, we do onboarding or on-ramp. And I was like, what is that? What's that? And they're like,
I joke because there's a girl in our gym. She's like, I'm on-ramping. And I'm like, you know what, Megan, you've been on-ramping for 6 years. She's going to laugh when she hears this.
And I feel like sometimes like we had somebody come in and I was like, oh, yeah, you're going to do on-ramping because we do onboarding. And they do 3 days. And she's like, I'm scared. I go, people say that. I go, but then you just hang out with Dave 3 separate days, that's technically 3 hours, one-on-one. I go, and then when you have to go into class, that's where we lose people sometimes because they're like, oh, class, everybody's doing different things. And I have to do that. And so I'm always like, the last one we had, I had 2 great members. You were in there and another one. And I was like, this is perfect. It's very intimate. And these are the 2. These are my pushers for new people. And I try to stick them with people that are very encouraging, very like, oh yeah, that's a good way, or that, or hey, she'll explain it. Cause I have members that have been with me for 5 years and they'll write their board down and be like, oh, but I don't remember what a snatch is. I was like, have I never explained it to you? Do we not go over class? Does Blake just go 150 snatches, go for it?
It's funny. Literally just the other day, like someone's all, what's a thruster? And I was like, you guys all claim to hate thrusters, but you can't remember what the damn movement is. I swear.
Do we not go over movements? Like, do we just leave you hanging? Do we not give time for warming up? And they're like, no, you do. And I'm like, that's exactly that question. I'm like, when I say, is there any questions? It's like, hey, coach, like I'm planning on doing 25. I know you said 35. We should hold on to it. I was planning on doing 25. That's a good question. There's no stupid questions.
What's the workout?
Yes. I definitely to new people, I'm like, don't be nervous. Don't be scared. You're going to be sore. Like, it's just going to be a little bit like intense. Like, it feels scary, but like I was like, everyone in here is so nice, and like literally when people know, we have such a good community. People know when someone's new, and so they're definitely like, oh man, you did so awesome, like you did great, like and that person I know is dying inside a little bit,
but they feel happy that oh my gosh, like Or I get also like, I think Monique had did something, and one of the people have been with me for a while, they're like, you're not that nice to us. I was like, she is new.
That's exactly.
I do not know her personality. She doesn't know mine. I can't banter with her yet.
Yeah. They're like, oh, you're so sweet to the new people. And I think there was a moment, there was like a couple weeks ago, and one of the guys, he brought his kids into the gym, and I could notice like mid-WOD, they weren't really listening to him, and he kept having to stop and stuff like that. And I was by the back door, and I was like, I think I was like in the middle of like some reverse lunges, and his little boy starts walking over here, and I was like, go sit down. And he looked at me and he's like, no. And I was like, but the door's right there. And I know that cars park and I was like, yes, go sit down right now. And I'm like in mid, and I was like, oh my gosh, I sound evil. Like I could tell I sound evil. And he like looks up and he's like, but I just have to go pee. And I go, oh, you can go pee. Okay, go right there. But I was like, you're not going outside. You're not getting hit by a car. Like, I'm trying to WOD. I'm like in the middle of dying. And I'm like, okay.
I have to use my breath.
But all of the members were like, whoa, okay. That was rude. And I go, did you want him to die?
Yeah. What if he was just like, okay, then I'll just run outside. And
My
then
job is to protect this child.
Right.
And then it changes. Okay, you can go pee.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. Oh, man.
Yeah, I've done that to members too. No.
But I have had, like, you're not that nice to us. And I was like,
I was in the beginning, and
Yeah.
this is nice. This is how we communicate now.
yeah.
Right.
What we have touched on some classes. So I've heard kids class. We have regular. Do you offer? So there's powerlifting. Do you
So
offer Oli or?
Yeah. So I do Olympic lifting into the CrossFit classes.
Okay.
So we snatch and we clean like definitely twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
But which I love and it's great. And I'm like, everybody, I know you guys hate snatch, but one day you're gonna like it.
So pretty to look at.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
It is, yeah.
I think I was telling, what was his name? Steven?
Yeah.
I was like, you have like double under days and snatch days, and sometimes they correlate and sometimes they don't.
Yes, I know.
And then he was like, well, I absolutely love double unders. And that's when my big mouth went, yeah, you're kind of slender. And I was like, oh, great. No guy wants to be called slender or small. And I was like, but do you know what I mean? Like, you're like a stick. Oh, crap.
Yeah, like it's just like, yeah, like it's getting
you're
worse.
built for a double under.
Yes, you're like, yep, that's for you.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I do. So I literally have CrossFit classes that we go 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8:30,
Okay.
Monday through Friday. I do them in the afternoons at 4 and 5:30.
Oh, nice.
And then twice a week, I have CrossFit Kids at 4 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then powerlifting, like, and just like a lot of dumbbell work too with that is like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday at 5:30 to 7.
Oh, wow.
And then the low impact class is 9:30 to 10:30.
Wow.
Okay.
Now, I do let these workouts are on Sugar WOD that I have. I have all of my programming on there. And I also have it always on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I let people during those times, because 4 to 7 is also the afternoon gym times. And then, of course, 5 a.m. to 11 in the morning. And I let anybody do any of those workouts at any time.
Okay.
So I don't limit like, hey, you want to come in at 8 and do the low impact. Everyone respects each other's space. A class could be going.
Yeah.
And if like a mom wants to come a little bit early because she has an appointment that day, that's great. I'm not really particular about like, you can't come because it's not during the time of the class.
Yeah.
You know, I let them kind of jump in, do what they can, and I just try to work. And actually people are really good. They respect the time, the classes. I don't have like a lot of problem with.
So it's like a
people
class
going
with an
over.
open gym aspect.
Yeah. So really like 9:30 to 11 is open gym. And then in the afternoons, 4 to 7, I give that an open gym aspect. So it's like, hey, you want to come to the class and do it as a group at 4?
Yeah.
Come to the class. If you want to wait till 5:30, do it at 5:30.
Okay.
But like if you get off work at 4:30 and you don't want to wait a whole hour, just come and just hop in. Sometimes I'll get girls that get in here like at 4:45. They're like, well, it looks like I'm wadding first for the warm up. And they'll go really light, they'll wad, and then they'll go back and do the strength. Yeah. You know, kind of thing, because they want to work out with their friends. So
yeah.
I kind of just give that freedom for people to do it that way. I'm not necessarily like particular.
I will say, like, because you're on, I wouldn't say the smaller,
Yeah, it's only
gym that we did,
2,200
but
square
it is
feet.
a smaller one that we've been to. And we had, how many people did we have this morning?
I don't know. I was like
10?
No, I think there was like 13.
yeah.
And so we had lifting, we had
Tony.
biking, rowing, wall ball.
Had a lot of everything.
And
Yeah.
even like knowing that, like, okay, well, we just had to be in different areas and having Tony do that. But so many people were respectful with when you were moving
Transition.
and transitioning.
Yeah.
And even at
Except Blake, because she stole someone's bike.
A short bike.
I mean, he's going to know now that go for your height bike.
He was tired, and so he didn't. He's
only a weekend.
He was tired. He didn't see that he went to the wrong bike.
Tony was like, "You're on the cheater bike. You need to find one of the bigger bikes." So he's just like, "That's the bike." And I was like, "No, like they're set up for heights, and it's just easier for Blake because I can't touch on any of the other."
They were pretty high, yeah.
And then by the time I get it unscrewed, we're
it's like
20
seconds in. Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't know why you'd want that either. Your long legs are going to be up here.
We like one time, this girl, Jackie, she was like, we had to do like, I think it was like 21:15.9, toe to bar, burpee over the bar, deadlift, but it was 3:15. And I was like, good thing I snatch, grip, deadlift, because that's my position on the barbell while you are in traditional, and we'll make it work.
Oh man, yeah. Compromise.
But it was like nice transitions because we've been to bigger gyms for the segment, or just me going to gyms, and you don't have like the same respect. Yeah. And it's just like, okay, we need to learn like gym etiquette. And I feel like that was like early on CrossFit, and we get like new members who are just like, okay. And I'm like, hey, they're lifting and you're walking right behind them. So they have every right. If they bail, they hit you, it is not on them. It is on you. Yeah. So when I tell you, hey, take a pause, you need to take a pause before you walk behind them or in front of them. Yeah. Because we have so many. I'm like, if we're spaced out, that's good. You have the space. But when we have too many people, those people are going to be more worried about you than hitting their lift, and then they're going to hurt themselves.
And like no one's like aggressively dropping the barbell, and that kind of stuff. Yep. You know, everyone's pretty respectful for that.
Yeah, it was a very nice flow.
It was.
Yeah.
Good.
I liked it. Yeah. Everyone was pushing each other. I was like dying. I was like, oh my God.
What could you say makes your affiliate unique compared to others?
I think that, oh man, this is like a hard
we've really touched on
a lot. Yeah.
I think that one of the things that I really focus on is nutrition. Like, and getting people to feel their very best. So like you guys saw, I'm just going to call her out, but Deanna that was in here. Yeah. Like she's literally lost, I think, over like 60 pounds and has changed her body like completely. Oh, wow. And so like, the reward of that, like just to know that like, you know, helping her with meal prep, teaching her how to eat, like, you know, like, hey, let's not drink alcohol. Like, let's just go, you know, all of these different components. And then really just helping somebody feel really confident. And it's not like vanity confident, but it's like confident. Like, and I just think it's like, it goes for like men too. Like, you know, like I've challenged Tony over and over to do, nutrition challenge after nutrition challenge. And he's like changed his body so much. And it's like this confidence that's instilled in people that's like, that carries over into the day, you know, like it's like a happiness and like joy. And it's like, I can conquer things. I can do things. I feel better. I'm getting stronger. It just shows like that it's working. So I would say that like I'm constantly doing like nutrition challenges, rewarding people for nutrition challenges. And, you know, it's like, I'm not rewarding you with a donut. Like we're rewarding you with like, I'm going to give you like in pair Metcons. Yeah. So I really focus on that aspect of it. I literally, like I'd say every 3 months I run a nutrition challenge, but it's like not at cost. It's free. It's open to the public. And I give everybody a custom meal plan based on their body. Wow. So, it's just open. Like I'll give you a macro count. I'll give you a meal plan. I'll break it completely down to calories, to food groups, like so that you have that to like pair it with the training. You know, the training is fun. Yeah. That's the fun part.
I agree.
You know, like that's fun. Coming and hanging out with your friends. Saturdays are my favorite days because this whole group in here, we work out and then we all go to the farmers market, which is right on the corner. Yeah. And we all just like, it's just fun, you know? But, I would say that nutrition and the other aspect I think that is big for me is kids. So I'm the only gym I think around here that does like the kids program. I think maybe Captain CrossFit has like a kids and teens program, but I really try to focus a lot on the kids, doing the kids camps. I ask the older kids that used to be in the CrossFit Kids to help with the kids camp,
which is great for
and
responsibility.
Then I pay them, even though they don't want me, you know, I pay them in like little gift cards. And, you know, one of the boys just got his driver's license and I gave him like a gas gift card. Like, here's some gas money.
Yeah.
So it's like, and like their siblings are in the class. And so, and something that's cool is I involve like Prescott Fire, and they bring their fire truck here and they hook up and we just spray all the kids down. And
that is so cool.
Yeah, it's like super fun. So they all get to tour the fire truck, and they have been like Dan Bates and his crew in this town have been like so wonderful. They do all that stuff for me. But I would say like focusing on the kids and teens. I have a really solid group of like teenage girls in here that's like awesome from like 17 to 20. Like I feel like their music is horrible, and that's how I know, that's how I know I'm getting older.
You're like, oh, no, kid music. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm getting older. Now I can hear the lyrics.
Yeah.
But
oh man.
I just like, I love them. So I would say that just like the nutrition and challenging people to push that second, like, you know, pushing that second wind, like just go, like get that, you know. And I also encourage people to do a lot of stuff outside. So we have a thing here called like the Triple Crown, which is like you hike Granite Mountain, Thumb Butte, and Spruce Mountain all in one day. So I try to push people to do other things like hike outside. There's a bunch of girls here that are amazing mountain bikers. They took me and I thought I was going to die. I was like, just because I can CrossFit does not mean
it doesn't translate in everything.
No, I was like, whoa. I'm going to be, I can carry this bike perfectly on this trail.
Up there. Yeah, that's it.
But just like try different things. I mean, yoga, Pilates, like all of it. Like, you know, I just want people to, I'm like a huge advocate for health. Like, when I run the Whiskey Row Marathon, I invite everybody in this gym. We're all going to go run. We're going to do the Santa run. We're going to do, you know, I think we did like the Yarnell run for the, you know, the tribe had a run. Like, so it's just like, I try to include everybody on those things and push each other outside of the gym, you know.
Very nice.
But yeah, I would say those probably are the main things.
Do you have any events coming up this year?
I think the next thing will just be the Open. Okay. And I don't really scare people with the Open. We are doing like actually this month. It's cool because I posted it on my social media, but everybody, I see different affiliates like do Bring a Friend Week, and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm actually going to do usually how I do it. So it's kind of like fair game is I put like a pot, like I'll put it at the front of by the boards, and I give like a point system. And it's like, if you come 3 times a week, you get to enter your name. Right. And it's like, if you bring a friend, you get to enter your name. If the friend signs up, you get to enter your name 10 times. And then your friend gets to put your name in the pot. Like their friend gets to put their name, like, you know, so it's just kind of like, I'll just do this whole thing, but I'll run it for the whole month of February so that people can just rack that up. And I'm going to gift like a month free of CrossFit. Nice. You get to give a friend like 2 weeks free. Yeah. They'll get like, they're getting a Nike gift card. They're going to get a prize. So there's like an incentive kind of thing. Oh, if they sign up for the Open, I don't scare people with the Open. I just kind of say, hey, there's an intramural. Yeah. I just tell them, you know what? You're going to have to do the workout anyways. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because I'm going to program it for that day. So no matter what, you might as well just see your score and put it on the 1027 little
that's the only
thing.
difference. Yep. Yeah.
Oh, and then you get to put your name in the prize. There you go. The prize hot. So I like to see, like I said, like if I'm seeing things that are working for people and stuff like that, I like to put my own spin on it. And it's like, just, you know, like let's do a fun thing for the whole month of February. Yeah. You know, like
it's welcoming. It's very welcoming to the outside.
Yeah. And then I know this is kind of just random, but when I first started here for the Open, I will do a personal donation to 3 nonprofits. So last year, I think it was like Agape House, the Women's Prescott Shelter, and then I think it was like the Launch Pad for Teens. I can't remember what 3 we picked, but basically week 1 of the Open, if you're in the Open, you got to bring like canned goods or whatever we're doing that day. Or you got to bring something to put, and then we just like donate it.
That's awesome.
And I'm just so thankful because we have so many awesome people in here that participate, you know, so we're able to give like, hey, we just gave like 2 trash bags, like full of like just groceries in 1 week to somebody.
And that helps
like, you know,
so
like,
much.
I say trash bags, but like just garbage, like big,
huge bin ones. Yeah.
And it's like just certain things like that. So every year for the open, I make the open bigger than the open.
Yeah.
And like bringing it together. So just stuff like that. I haven't had an event here yet. No. I did, I think for the 3-year anniversary, which will be in June. Usually I do an in-house family competition. So you have to pick a kid. Yeah. So like, it's like, it'll be parents and their kids and they get to dress up in any theme that they want. It's kind of fun.
That is pretty cool.
Last year we had like Super Mario Brothers. Like they dressed up all as characters. So it was a mom and her 2 boys and they're a team. So everyone's a team. And then basically how I just run it is like, there's 4 workouts on the board and like we'll run this workout for this hour and then the next workout for this hour. So everyone's here just for 4 hours. There'll be food and snacks and everyone hangs out. Everyone can do it. And you just see like random costumes and families combining. And it's just like a fun. Fun. And then they win prizes. They get to win prizes. Who
doesn't like that, right?
So it's like kind of fun. So
I love watching kids do cleans and stuff. It's so impressive. It's so impressive.
I know. It's so cool.
It's cool.
It just makes your like heart melt. But I just try to do stuff like that for the community. Nothing. One of these days I'll run like an event, but
so what's your favorite movement in CrossFit and what's your not favorite movement?
Okay, so I feel like if everybody would know I'm gritty. So if it's like a grind, like I just the girls in here that I compete with, they're like, you're so annoying, you get better as the clock goes on. Like it's just kind of like, you know, they think they're gonna beat me, but I'm like, just whatever, like, you know, kind of thing. But I honestly love Grace. I love that workout. I love clean and jerks. I love anything barbell. Like the Bear Complex, Curtis P's.
Nice.
Anything that feels just like, I mean, I'm one of those, I love thrusters. I'm a psycho when it comes to thrusters.
You freak.
I'm like,
oh my God.
I liked them before I had kids.
Oh, I don't know.
I honestly, the things I don't like, it's not necessarily like a weakness of mine, but like grip strength. So I'd say like, I hate like a toe bar pull up or like kettlebell combo, like high rep. I don't like the mundane, like the one movement, like over and over again. Which is weird because Grace is like, but a clean and jerk and like the bar, they're just like a different kind of dance.
Yeah, but it's like it's for time and the fastest. So it's like, I'm not doing that. To me, I don't know, it's completely different because you're like, okay, like last year I got 4 minutes and I'm doing 3 minutes and I'm like just focusing on that one movement compared to like a 45-minute WOD where I'm like, I have 40 kettlebell swings and I need to hold on for like 30 of them. Yay. And these take forever to go.
Annoying. There's a lot of time to think during that. You're like,
true.
Where you're like, I could just stop. You can't just stop. Well, why don't you? Well, because then I got to get to the other thing, which I really like that other movement. I also don't like, I am gritty, so I'll do it and I'll work through it. Like I'll tell you guys, there's this one workout that I did. So something that I wish like Dave and all those guys would bring back is the team open. Remember you could compete in the open with a team, like a pair.
That'd be cool.
Do you remember that?
Well, aren't they bringing something similar?
They're bringing a pair, but it's going to be at the Legends competition.
That's right, yeah.
So it's not really the same.
So we got to do like the open with a partner, and then we got to submit our scores. Like
That's
how
cool.
You would for the open.
Right.
And it was just like fun.
It feels better when it's a partner for some reason. Right?
So we did this workout and it was like a 10-to-1 snatch bar muscle up. And I think I got to the 4s because it was a descending ladder. And just my hand just completely ripped, like out the center, fingers. And I was like, this is just, you know, So it's like, and I had to still do another WOD. Like I still had to hold dumbbells and do all this other stuff. And I was like, you know what? Just pack it with some chalk. Wrap it.
Let's go.
Just gonna bleed. Feels like little ants are eating off my hands. I felt like I was at one of those Survivor shows. Yeah. When they say like your wound is cut open and then they fell asleep and ants are in it. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So honestly, I hate ripped hands. So I just like a high volume, like toe to bar, chest to bar, or any like bar muscle up. If it's high volume, I dread that. I don't I just don't want to rip my hands. Yeah. I mean, I'll do it and I'll keep going, but it's like,
it's an annoyance.
It is
that it's hurt, and I have to
wait some days for it to come back.
Yeah, or like I change my grip then because I'm so upset with it, and then so I think
bleeding
somebody looked at me weird, and I was like, just put chalk in it. I go, I literally take those little chunks and I just dig it in. And they're like, doesn't that hurt? Yeah, for a quick second. It's gonna hurt when you wash your hands too.
Yeah, we should come up with like a disinfectant chalk.
Yeah,
right. On purpose.
Yes, you're onto something. Yeah, you're onto
like,
something.
Hey, this chalk has disinfectant in it. You know,
that's smart.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say every time I see like a high volume kettlebell or something like that, I don't like it. I love barbell movements. I actually love dumbbell work.
I like dumbbell work too. Like there's a lot of things where I'm like, just do it with a dumbbell. And they're like, why? And I'm like, well, because you said the barbell, you don't want to do that. I was like, dumbbell, you're still doing a movement. And I go, sometimes it's even harder because you have two things that you have to keep it close. Yeah. And then that works on keeping a bar close. And
I do like the bike. I am one of those people who like the Echo bike. And so me and that girl Jackie I was talking about, and then another affiliate owner that's here, we did a team of 3, and we had it was like a 24-minute time cap. You had to do 24 laps in the pool and 200 cal bike or something like that, or 20-minute time cap or something. Yeah. And I told my girls, I was like, I'll beat you both on the swim on the bike. I'll stay on the bike the entire 200 calories. I'll do it, and I'll beat you guys. And I think we ended up getting second in that thing. And so I did and Tony was sitting all the way across the pool, and I just would put my hand up, like how many calories I had left. And I remember my judge, she's like, are you not getting off? Are you just staying on here the whole time? And I was like, yeah. And so I think I did I was like 1547, 200 calories, and I beat them on the swim.
Girl.
And I just fell into the pool.
Yeah, I was like, my legs hurt.
I know. I was like, I don't know how you do that.
Gritty, like that suffering kind of thing. Yeah. I don't know.
I love it.
Yeah. I find my strength in the depth of that kind of thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know. I'm still I'm like 200 calories.
Joyce, I regret my decision. You need to get out of the pool. Somebody get my partner.
I was just thinking it might be fun to be her partner in a comp, and then I heard that and I was like, oh man, I don't know about that. I would die. I'll do the swimming though. I'll be like, I'll do it. Okay, girl, you do you. Oh, that's rough.
Yeah.
Good for you though, girl. Fun. That's amazing. I would love to do that comp. I'm like, you need to jump in and do one.
Yeah, I would be like, I'm all on the bike. I swim slow.
I'm also like one of those crazy people that we had to do the worm, and I don't have the worm here, so obviously I couldn't practice it. I just have the heavy sandbags, but it's us 3 had to lift it, and again, my girl Jackie is only 5
short.
Short. Yeah. So we put her in the middle, and we flipped it up on our shoulder, and then when I went over and dropped it, dropped on her and went down. I was like, and this was just warm up, and I was like, so then I start. This is how crazy I am. I start crying. I can't do that. I can't even do that. I'm sorry, I can't believe I just dropped that on you. I can't do this. We're gonna suck at this. And then we get down on the floor, and I was like, why is this one lighter? And she's like, we were warming up with a dude's worm. And I was like, oh, no wonder I could not lift that.
Then the adrenaline kicks in and you're just like,
I was like, we're trying to do 205 on a worm. And really, we only had to do 155. I was
girl.
I was like, okay.
Well, good thing it felt light though. You were like,
people really knew what your head went through before you competed. You're just, or what you're saying to yourself. You're like,
oh, right? Man, we need to make a video on that. Actually, that'd be a good video. All right. So this is kind of a nice question that we like to ask everybody at the end of the podcast. But if you were let's say you were just starting CrossFit, you were a newcomer, what would be something that you would want that person to know? Someone who's just joining, someone who's just coming in, something that you wish you knew starting your CrossFit journey that you know now.
This is a good question. I think I'm going to take it back to the community. If you if someone could tell me the people that you would meet and the doors that they would open up for you, whether it was a friend to cry to, vent to, girls you do a Bible study with. Like if I could just tell them like the people, I mean, like I'm marrying Tony. I met Tony at CrossFit. Like, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life with this guy.
It's
So
like Irene and Paul.
Tony, you're a lucky man, Tony. You're a lucky man.
So it's like,
goals.
So it's kind of like, I think that if you could just keep your feet like in the door and do something for yourself, you're going to reap like so much more. Like just by the community, just by the people and like the things that really matter in life. Nobody cares what your score is on the board. That's not real. That's for fun, you know? And that's like, I think Tim Grover said it best, who was Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan's trainer. He's like, you can love something, but realize that doesn't love you back. Like, you know, like I can love CrossFit, but CrossFit doesn't love me back. But like, I love all these people and they love me back.
Yeah.
You know, so I'd have to just go back to the community.
Love that.
Is a thing. Yeah.
So tell us how like our listeners or people can reach out to you if they're interested in dropping in, if they're interested in joining, like how would they reach out to you and your gym?
Okay. So I'm kind of old school. I do not have a website, but
that's cool.
Instagram, you can message me on Instagram. There's my Instagram or the 1027 CrossFit Instagram. Email. A lot of people have messaged me from the CrossFit.com. If you go to 1027, my information
it goes
is on
to the
there.
CrossFit.com page. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you can literally go to CrossFit.com, search affiliates in your area, and they like come up, and then I've gotten emails and text messages from people. So that's awesome.
Nice.
That's a new thing from CrossFit, I think, or it's just being utilized better.
I think it's being utilized way better.
Yeah.
And that's where, when we go back to the affiliate question, where I was like, okay, you're upping the prices. What are you giving the affiliates? For that? And it should be that advertisement. It should be that easy to type in and click and go.
Yeah. And so that's great. But really people just contact me through social media or I know it's the word of mouth too. It's kind of like,
that works.
So if you're here, if you ask around like, hey, what's a CrossFit gym? And everyone's pretty good about knowing who's who and just supporting each other. So that's awesome. I think I've had people like, I think I have a couple people here like that, you know, even like Irene and Paul are like, hey, like you live in Prescott, go to 1027 and vice versa. Like,
yeah, because they were saying that they're like, yeah, of course we love members, but if you live 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or even 15 minutes closer to that gym, try that gym first.
Yeah.
Like,
then
you could come over here if you want, but try those gyms first. And that's very nice to hear. Yeah,
there's a great like veterinarian. I really like her. She's new to the area, but her name's Callie, and you know, she works over here and, you know, some days but she lives in PV. And so it's like, she's at PV CrossFit and then she'll drop in and just do like a punch class here kind of thing, you know, and
which is
so,
cool.
Yeah. And it's great. And then when we do the pop-up Sundays, like we all get to work out together. And so I just love that. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Well, you heard it here, people. 1027.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
I know we had a great time. And I'm also just really like, I feel like I haven't gone to a gym that's so involved in their community. Like hearing you talk, I'm like, she's doing so much to the community.
Yeah,
I'm just
we've
impressed.
heard like some things where community is really big, but you're like hitting on like literally growing the community from like ages like 5, 6 and
teens
up,
and everything,
and then sticking with it, which is very good. We haven't heard that portion yet. It's more geared to the adults because I feel like people are scared to go into the kids CrossFit.
Yeah,
I coach kids CrossFit, and I was like, y'all got to find a different coach because I need some patience for my kids.
It's like
it's a different vibe. Yeah,
it is. It's like you have to be like kind. You got to meet them where they're at. You got to be patient. I mean, I have to tell the story, and his mom is going to love this because I love this family. But you have to realize that girls are emotional, boys are wild. Like it's a learning thing. But I had them all outside the other day, and they're all in a wall sit. And I said, all right, if you guys, you know, everyone participates in this WOD, like, well, then we can play the game. And one of the little boys was like, well, what's the game? And before that, I said, you know, you guys got to stop saying bad words. Like, you know, they weren't like cussing, but I was like, you got to stop saying bad words. You can't tell the guy next to you you're weak.
Yeah.
Right? Which is like, they all are like that. I was like, you got to encourage each other.
Right.
This is a safe space for everybody. Like, let's be kind, like, good job. I want to hear good job come out of your mouth. And so I had given them that talk prior, but then they're all lined up in the wall sit, and one little boy's like, well, what's going to be the game? And I was like, well, I'm going to let you guys play dodgeball. And it was dead silent. And then one of the little boys was just like, put his fist in the air and was like, oh, hell yeah. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, this is just awesome. Like, and then I'm like, okay, let's say heck yeah. Yeah. Heck yeah. We're going to play dodgeball. I love the energy, buddy, but switch it up. Like, it's just the kids, it's just fun. You got to like.
I love that.
Yeah. Still here. And then I do have to point out, like, I know this is just random because it's a random thought, but talking about one of the older boys, he's 18 now, and the little girl that was in here, Alex, they were not in my CrossFit. The one boy was partly in my CrossFit Kids class, but they have been coming to CrossFit. They come to the 5 a.m. every single morning since they were like 16.
That's impressive. Yeah.
I mean, we have some really awesome people here. And it's like, I always tell that girl, Alex, I'm like, girl, you're like ahead of the game. Mm-hmm. You're like responsible. You're showing up at 5 a.m. You're driving here to work out. Baller. That is not what I was doing when I was 16.
No.
I was like hitting the alarm until like the last minute to get to school.
All the old people go to 5 a.m.
Yeah. So it's kind of
I still don't go to 5 a.m. I know. I still can't make
it. I know. It's awesome. But yeah, there's just a good group of people.
Wow.
Here, so.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
And you're a big part of that. So I commend you for being that. Yeah.
But if you feel like this podcast is your swig of pre-workout, please. Did you say goog?
I said glug, like chug. Get it?
I thought you were like, Google us. Google us.
That too, though. I mean, you can. We are on Google.
We are.
Also, we're trademarked. I think I already said that.
Yeah.
Logo pending.
Yeah. But please DM us on Instagram at Savagely Scaled or TikTok at Savagely Scaled. If you guys have like a wild gym story or something that you want us to talk about, or something that you're like, I don't feel comfortable asking my gym owners, is this even a thing? We would love to talk about it.
Absolutely.
Or you can even email us at savagelyscaled1, the number 1 at Gmail. Mm-hmm. Please subscribe on our YouTube. We also have, again, Apple Podcasts to leave a review. Hit those 5 stars.
That's right.
And please don't be a Karen. Be a
Sharon.
And keep sharing for us.
That's right.
Please.
I know, guys. We're so grateful to be able to do this and to have another, I guess, our first official year in the belt. And it's been a journey. It's been an absolutely beautiful journey, I would say, and getting to know all of you and also other members and other gyms, and just seeing how much the community is growing and how much togetherness and goals and different. I know we spoke with our previous people that we've interviewed, but it's just crazy to see how everyone is part of the same community, but everyone is, in a sense, achieving their own goal and story and journey. And it's so beautiful to see. So
we love to give love too.
Yeah, we want to hear your successes, PR, or if you're participating in an event, if you want to shout out another friend at the gym for their successes or for having their first week of CrossFit, let us know. We love
those stories and we love to shout out people. So please, this year, that's what we want to do better about, is shouting out those PRs, those successes, and things like that.
That's right.
Until
we meet
at the whiteboard again. Bye.